Subject number 2. Many individuals have discussed with us the idea of what might be called the first moment of self-realization of what you typically call God or the Creator or Goddess or all that is or the infinite, doesn't matter what name you use. The idea that we have to some degree described from time to time is that in the quote-unquote beginning, which of course is actually within creation. Creation is not subject to time. Time is a creation of the infinite. But to use your colloquial language for a moment, the idea, just to explain it as an illustration, is that at one time, it could be said, there was the all that in a sense did not know itself, because it was all there was, and there was no differentiation. The first moment of self-awareness was the first split-off of itself to itself, the first reflection. And that first reflection is what you call creation. As soon as all that is became aware that it was all that is, that created the idea of the process of the creation of all that is in its individuated state. The first level, the first layer, the first recognition of all that is of itself, the first split off, if you will, is what you on your planet typically refer to as angelic consciousness. Now, more precisely, you must understand that within the first split off of angelic consciousness, there is by definition the idea of the polarities, of positive and negative, mechanically speaking. This does not mean good and evil exactly, does not mean the idea of right and wrong exactly, but just the idea mechanically of that which integrates and that which separates. Positive and negative mechanical consciousness. This is archetypally, symbolically in your civilization represented on the angelic level by the symbolism archetypally of Archangel Michael and the symbology of the archetype of Archangel Lucifer. In this way, that polarity was the first split off of the infinite from itself. If you will understand now this mechanism of how from that point, other layers down below, more dense realities, more differentiations of collectivity of consciousness are created, use the following illustration, and remember that it is only an illustration, but it will serve. The idea is to think of this angel archetype, positive, angel archetype, negative, as two magnifying glasses. One light, crystal clear, one darkened, in a sense, representing the polarities. The one light of the infinite, the original infinite, shines through them both. But because they are two different magnifying glasses and they can be focused in a variety of ways, then they can refocus that light back into what might appear to be a single point. But you know that it is no longer the same kind of singularity that the original oneness is, because now it is made up of the polarities coming back together to form a union, to create a new kind of an idea of singularity, a new kind of an idea of collectivity, of consciousness. The way in which those two analogous mirrors focus, the degree to which they focus, the depth to which they focus, determines the level of the collective consciousness that you're talking about. Thus, that beam from one and the beam from the other coming together to form another unique spot of light can be representative of collective consciousness of a higher dimensional realm. It can be representative of the world spirit consciousness, what you call the Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, the Krishna spirit, does not matter. The world spirit, same idea. Can be representative of individual personalities as you recognize yourselves to be. But all of those individual representations are simply a matter of degree of focus and angle of the unique one light coming through the polarities and refocusing itself down to a single point again. So in understanding different levels of collective consciousness in that way, you can begin to see how it's really just a matter of degree, just a matter of angle, just a matter of focus. And by getting in touch and using this diagram in meditation, you can allow yourself to experience a lot of those other levels, higher in a sense in vibration than what you may consider yourself to be. And it can give you more understanding of how to play with that focus so as to take yourself, in a sense, more precisely, to realize and recognize the self that is already on all those different strata that you may not be aware of because of the degree of limitation that goes hand in hand with the concept of physiological reality. Let this sink in and play with this image in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination so desires. And you can put this in conjunction with the third idea that we will now discuss with you to some degree. But use it however you wish. The third idea is simply another illustration about the idea of the transformation and transition that many of you are going through now, that the transition your planet is going through now. And we wish to use a very simple analogy that might be a little bit more clear and a little bit more fun for you in understanding why it might from time to time feel difficult to many of you in going through this transitional state, this transitional time on your planet now, why this might be happening. And the analogy we would like to use, that we used in the private dialogue, that we feel may help some of you, is the analogy of baking. You have the concept on your planet of what you call the egg, the flour, the milk. These individual ideas represent, in general terms, the ingredients of the final product you typically call a cake. The cake is what, in a sense, you are becoming. But right now, in the transition, what you are is batter. You are no longer the egg, the flour, and the milk separately. You have come to the point in your learning, in your growth, in your expansion and understanding of spirituality, that you are complete in the idea that you contain the egg, contain the flour, contain the milk as separate and individualized concepts. But now you are looking to integrate and blend. You now have mixed all these ideas into a batter and plopped yourself in an oven, and you are baking. But you are not yet done. While the batter is baking, it may not understand who or what it is, because it is in an in-between state between what it used to know itself to be as so clearly defined. The ingredients were egg, flour, milk, very clear, very understandable. And ultimately, you know what you are heading toward. Cake is a singular concept that you can understand, but batter is fluid. A little bit of egg, a little bit of flour, a little bit of milk, sometimes a little bit more here, a little bit more there. And as you bake, maybe one part gets cooked a little bit faster than another, one part catching up to the other, not really cohesive. And this idea of all these separate elements attempting to come together into a harmonic orchestration may be some of the confusion that you are feeling now in this transitional state. But simply chalk it up to the understanding that all that's happening is that you are baking, that different ingredients that you are made up of, or used to think you were made up of, are in a sense baking at slightly different rates, in a sense. But ultimately, as you get used to the higher vibration, representative of the heat of the oven, you will allow all the ingredients to become cohesive and to begin to bake at the same rate. And as soon as you match that frequency, then the heat of discomfort you may feel in this transitional time will no longer be experienced as a discomfort, because you will match the frequency. You will match the temperature of the heat. And as soon as you match the temperature of the heat and idealize the balanced state within you of all the ingredients you are attempting to blend, you will be cake. And then, of course, your life will also be a piece of cake. So, utilize this idea and be easy on yourself with any of the ideas of discomfort that you are having. Simply remind yourself that you are still in the process of baking. You are still in the oven. But just imagine how yummy you will be when you come out. So, We thank you for allowing us at this time to discuss with you and share with you these 3 ideas that you can incorporate and absorb within your consciousness at whatever rate you find comfortable. It is up to you. It is not in any way, shape, or form paramount that you must understand these things now or even understand them at all in the way that we have delivered them. Each and every idea we share with you is only that, an idea, a perspective, a point of view. It is only to reflect back to you that you already know these things, to literally remind you of who and what you are, so that you can remember yourself and live the life that is representative of the infinite creator that each and every one of you are as an aspect of the infinite. In return, thus then, for the gift that you are giving our civilization now and allowing us to interact with you through this gateway at this time, I ask you now, in what way at this time may I and my world be of service to you? You, good day.